The starship Meridian floated in space, its sleek metal hull gleaming against the backdrop of stars. This was a big day for humans. For the first time, they were meeting the Galactic Council, a group of alien species that ruled most of the known universe. Captain Alan Summers felt his heart beat faster as he stood on the bridge. The large screen in front of him showed an enormous space station shaped like a wheel with spokes coming out from the center. Lights sparkled all over its surface. This was Harmonia Station, home of the Galactic Council. "Wow," whispered Diane. Russell, the ship's diplomat. Her hands shook slightly as she fixed her blue uniform collar. "It's even bigger than the pictures showed." The ship's radio crackled. "Captain, they're calling us again," said Peter Wright, the communications officer. His fingers hovered over the buttons at his station. 3 years ago, aliens had surprised Earth by showing up at the edge of the solar system. They sent messages in many human languages, saying they came in peace. After years of talks, humans were finally invited to meet the council in person. The Meridian carried 20 crew members and 12 diplomats, the first humans to officially represent Earth to the wider galaxy. "Put them on screen," Summers said, standing up straighter. The screen changed, showing a strange being with silver skin that shimmered like water. It had huge eyes with many small parts, like a fly's eyes. This was High Counselor Zolthrix from a species called the Arenians. "Captain Summers," said Zolthrix in a musical voice that sounded almost like singing. "Welcome to Harmonia Station. We have rooms ready for you and your crew. The council is waiting to meet you." "Thank you, High Counselor," Summers replied. "We're happy to be here on behalf of Earth." What Summers didn't know was that the council's 13 founding species were worried about humans. No other species had ever developed faster than light travel on their own without help. This made humans different and potentially dangerous. The Meridian docked at the station. Grace Miller, the security chief, gave last instructions to the team. Miller was tough and serious, with short red hair and alert eyes that missed nothing. "Listen up," she said to the 12 diplomats gathered in the ship's meeting room. "We follow their rules. We're guests here. The council has existed for 4,000 years without any big fights between members. We don't want to be the ones who mess that up." Dr. Kevin Brooks could barely stay in his seat. The young scientist with curly brown hair and glasses had studied alien biology for years. 4,000 years of medical knowledge from dozens of species. Think of what we could learn." "Slow down," Captain Summers warned. "We're just here to establish relations and talk about joining the council. One step at a time." The humans had no idea they were walking into a delicate balance of power that their very presence was already disrupting. When the doors opened to Harmonia Station, the humans gasped. The arrival area was huge, bigger than any building on Earth. The ceiling arched hundreds of feet above them, made of something that looked like glass but wasn't. Aliens of all kinds moved through the space. Some floated in the air, others walked on 2, 4, or more legs. Some rolled, some slithered. "This is amazing," whispered Dr. Brooks, eyes wide behind his glasses. Zolthrix led them through several security checks. Harmonia Station is the council headquarters. 300 species have embassies here, but only 47 are full council members. Diane Russell tapped notes into her tablet computer. "What does a species need to do to become a member?" "Technology. Level, stable culture, and following the Galactic Accords," Zolthrix explained. "Your species is being considered for fast-track membership. Very unusual, but these are unusual times." Zolthrix didn't mention that many council members didn't want humans to join. The Krell Imperium, a powerful military species, was leading the opposition. While the humans were shown to their quarters, a heated argument was happening in a meeting room across the station. General Drox of the Krell pounded his scaled fist on the table. He was 7 feet tall with thick gray skin and a ridge of spikes down his back. "These humans developed warp drives just 200 years after discovering nuclear power," he growled. "No other species has advanced so quickly. In another 100 years, they could be more powerful than half the council." Ambassador Lyria of the Alaran Confederacy disagreed. She was tall and graceful with blue-tinted skin and eyes that glowed slightly. That's exactly why we should bring them in now. Better to have them working with us than developing on their own. In the corner sat Elder Morris of the Archivists. The Archivists were one of the oldest species, known for recording the history of the galaxy. Morris looked almost like a human, except for his golden eyes and the faint patterns that shifted across his skin like moving tattoos. The humans seem like many species we have seen before, Morris said quietly. But there is something different about them. The way they solve problems is unusual. They adapt very quickly. No one in the room knew just how right Morris was, or how much everything was about to change. The next day, the humans attended their first council session. The council chamber was a huge circular room with seats arranged in rings. The inner ring held the 13 founding species. Outside that were the newer members. Captain Summers and Diane Russell sat in the visitors section. Summers noticed the tension in the room. Many aliens stared at the humans with what he guessed was curiosity or fear. "They're afraid of us," he whispered to Russell. "But why? We've barely left our solar system. Most of these species have been in space for thousands of years." "Maybe that's what scares them," Russell replied. "We got to space so quickly." As the session began, High Counselor Zalthrix made a formal announcement. "Today, we welcome observers from the planet Earth. The Council will consider their application for membership in the coming months." A murmur spread through the chamber. Summers could tell that not everyone was happy about this announcement. After the session, Dr. Brooks approached Captain Summers with excitement. "Captain, an alien doctor invited me to tour their medical facilities. The advances they have, it's incredible. Just remember we're here to observe, not to make promises," Summers cautioned. That night, in their private meeting room, the human delegation discussed their first impressions. "They're hiding something," Grace Miller said. "Security is too tight for a peaceful cooperation organization. And did you notice how some species won't talk to others? There are factions here." Diane Russell nodded. "The Council presents itself as unified, but I've already noticed deep divisions. The newer members seem resentful of the founding species." "We need to be careful," Summers said. "We're stepping into politics we don't understand yet." As the humans talked, they didn't know they were being watched. Across the station, Elder Morris studied them through hidden cameras. "Interesting," he said to himself. "They've noticed the divisions already. Most new species take years to understand council politics." The Archivists had seen empires rise and fall across millions of years. Morris wondered if he was now witnessing the beginning of another great change in the galaxy. The humans had entered the council and everything might soon fall apart. And maybe, he thought, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. 3 months passed since the humans arrived at Harmonia Station. In this short time, the Earth delegation had learned a lot. The Galactic Council wasn't as unified as it first seemed. Karen Phillips called a meeting in the humans' secure room on the station. Phillips was the team's political expert, a sharp woman with dark hair pulled back in a neat bun. She put an image on the wall screen showing colored lines connecting different alien groups. "The Council has been stuck in a political deadlock for almost 200 years, she told Captain Summers and the team. 3 big groups control most decisions. She pointed to different parts of the diagram. The blue group is the expansion bloc, led by the Ellerons. They want to explore and grow. The red group is the Preservation Coalition. They want everything to stay the same. The green group is the Krell Military Alliance. They focus on defense and control." "Where do we fit in all this?" Captain Summers asked, scratching his chin. Phillips highlighted a small new cluster on the screen. "That's the interesting part. Our arrival has upset the balance. Several medium-sized powers see us as possible allies against the big 3 groups." Dr. Olivia Ward nodded in agreement. Dr. Ward studied alien cultures and had spent weeks meeting different species. She was younger than Phillips, with friendly eyes and a quick smile that aliens seemed to respond well to. "It's even more interesting than that," Ward said. "The species that breathe oxygen like we do are finding they have a lot in common with us. The Centauri have invited us to 6 parties just this week." the humans had discovered something surprising. Despite coming from different planets, humans had more in common with many council species than those species had with each other. Humans could survive in environments that worked for about 30% of council worlds. They were also good at understanding different cultures and finding common ground. Meanwhile, a group called the Vox Hegemony had secretly met with the humans. The Vox were strange beings, a hive mind made up of connected fungus-like creatures. They told the humans that the founding species got more resources than newer members. The Vox had tried to change this for centuries without success. "The council isn't what it pretends to be," Diane Russell said during the meeting. "On the outside, they look united, but inside they're divided by age, biology, and who gets what resources." The humans didn't realize that just by being there, they were making these divisions worse. Across the station, High Counselor Zolthrix was in trouble. The silver-skinned alien faced angry members of the Preservation Coalition. "You said the humans would fit in slowly," said Counselor Thrax, a being made of crystal that sparkled under the lights. "Instead, they're meeting with every unhappy species, asking questions about history and resources. Humans are curious," Zolthrix said. "This is how they learn." "They cause trouble wherever they go," said Elder Morris of the Archivists. His golden eyes looked worried. "Since they arrived 3 months ago, requests to the council have gone up by 22%. Species that haven't spoken up in centuries are suddenly asking for changes." General Drox of the Krell hit the table with his scaled hand. "This proves what I said. Humans are dangerous. We should block them from the rest of the galaxy until we know they won't destroy our system." What none of the aliens knew was that the council's spying on the humans had been compromised. Engineer Frank Cooper, a quiet man with clever hands, had found hidden cameras and microphones in the human quarters during their first week. Instead of removing them, he built a system to send fake information to whoever was watching. Meanwhile, a new problem appeared. Dr. Kevin Brooks and his science team were allowed to look at the station's power systems. They found something troubling. Their power grid is only working at 63% efficiency, Brooks told Captain Summers in a private call. The young scientist looked excited and worried at the same time. "They're using old technology that they replaced centuries ago in other places. Do you think it's on purpose?" Summers asked. "That's what worries me," Brooks said, pushing his glasses up. "I think some species are being kept behind on purpose. The core systems, the planets of the founding members, get 40% more power per person than the outer rim worlds." Summers frowned. "Keep this quiet for now. We need more information before we do anything." But secrets rarely stay secret for long. At a party the next day, Dr. Ward mentioned the power problem to a friendly Centauri delegate. The Centauri had blue skin and 4 arms. They looked shocked at what Ward told them. "You've confirmed what many of us suspected," the Centauri said, all 4 hands gesturing with excitement. "The founding species have been holding us back." Within days, representatives from 28 species had asked to meet with the humans. They all wanted to know more about what the humans had discovered. In his private quarters, Captain Summers looked out at the stars through a large window. He felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Humans had only been at the station for 3 months, but already they were changing things that had been stable for thousands of years. "We came here to join the council," he said to Diane Russell, who stood beside him. "But now I wonder if the council will survive our arrival." "Maybe it shouldn't," Russell replied. "Not if it's built on keeping some species down while others stay on top." Across the station, Elder Morris watched recordings of the humans. The ancient archivist had seen many civilizations rise and fall over thousands of years. Something about these humans was different from any species he had studied before. "They ask questions others don't think to ask," he said to himself. "They see patterns others miss, and most dangerous of all, they don't accept things just because that's how they've always been." The council had maintained peace for 4,000 years through a careful balance of power. Now that balance was starting to fall apart, and the humans were right in the middle of it. In the Krell embassy, General Drox met with allies from other founding species. "We need to contain the human problem before it gets worse," he growled. "They've been here just 3 months, and already the lesser species are demanding changes." "Perhaps change is due," said a representative of the Eleran Confederacy. Ambassador Lyria's blue skin glowed faintly in the dim room. The system has favored us for too long. Traitor, hissed Drox. You would throw away 4,000 years of stability for these newcomers? Lyria stood tall, unafraid of the much larger Krell. I would throw away 4,000 years of inequality. There's a difference. Back in the human quarters, Engineer Cooper was examining the station's database. He had managed to access parts of it through his work helping repair a section of the station. Captain, he called Summers on a secure line. I think I found something important. You need to see this right away. The careful balance of the Galactic Council was starting to crumble, and the humans were only beginning to understand the complicated politics they had stepped into. 6 months after humans arrived at Harmonia Station, everything reached a breaking point. What started as small ripples had turned into big waves that threatened to destroy the foundation of the Galactic Council. Captain Summers received a message one morning that surprised him. The High Council, the most powerful group in the galaxy, wanted him to attend an emergency meeting. This is very strange, Diane Russell said as they walked through the grand hallways toward the council chamber. Her eyes were wide with worry. They never let observer species into closed meetings. The council chamber was an amazing sight, a perfect sphere with seats arranged in circles. The inner circle held the 13 founding species on raised platforms, showing their special status. High Counselor Zolthrix stood up when Summers and Russell entered. The silver-skinned alien's many-faceted eyes reflected the chamber's lights. We face unusual times that require unusual actions, Zolthrix announced to the room. The human delegation has discovered certain problems that we can no longer ignore. Suddenly, dozens of aliens started talking all at once. The room filled with strange sounds as translation devices tried to keep up. Elder Morris of the Archivists raised a hand, and all the communication systems went silent. Order, the elder said in a voice that seemed to reach into everyone's mind. We will discuss this properly. What followed was the public reveal of everything the humans had found through their investigations. How newer council members were kept from advancing, how developing species were held back, and how resources were unfairly shared. The spark that started this fire was Engineer Cooper's discovery 3 weeks earlier. While helping fix a damaged part of the station, Cooper gained access to the central database. What he found shocked everyone, proof of something called the Ascension Management Directive. This was a secret plan that deliberately limited technology, sharing to keep the founding species in power. When Cooper showed this to Captain Summers, the human team faced a hard choice. After much debate, they decided to share what they found with 15 council species who seemed to share human values. They didn't expect the information to spread so quickly. Now, in the council chamber, the human delegation watched as 4,000 years of careful power structures began to fall apart. The directive was created for stability, argued the Krell representative, General Drox. The massive reptilian alien towered over most other species. Free technology leads to chaos and fighting. It leads to equality, countered Ambassador Lyria of the Alarans, who had become one of humanity's strongest friends. Her blue skin seemed to glow with emotion, something the founding members claimed to support while secretly undermining. The council leader asked Captain Summers to speak, another thing that had never happened before. Earth does not want to disrupt the peace that has existed here for thousands of years, Summers began carefully. He stood straight, aware that every alien eye was on him. But we cannot join an organization that goes against its own principles so clearly. If the Council truly stands for working together and helping each other, then these unfair practices must end. His words were simple, but their impact was huge. Delegates from over 40 species immediately showed their agreement, creating a light display of unity that brightened the chamber. General Drox rose from his seat, his massive body towering over the other representatives. This is exactly why humans should never have been contacted, he roared. They've been here 6 months and already they threaten to destroy what has taken 4,000 years to build. The next few days saw rapid changes. 29 species, formally asked for the Council's basic rules to be changed. The Krell and 3 other founding species threatened to leave completely if the existing power structure was dismantled. The archivist said they wouldn't take sides but admitted that change seemed inevitable. During the political chaos, a new alliance was forming. Species that had been held back under Council rules found common ground with humanity's values of freedom and progress. The Centauri, Vox Hegemony, and 17 other species approached Earth's delegation with an idea for a new group, one based on equal partnership rather than tiered privileges. As news spread throughout the station, fighting broke out in the shopping and business areas. Security officer Grace Miller found herself working with station guards to stop violence between different groups. "We never meant for this to happen," she told her partner, a 6-armed Iranian officer named Thelix, as they broke up a fight between 2 alien groups. "Maybe it was bound to happen," Thelix replied. "Many of us have known about these unfair practices for centuries, but didn't have the courage to challenge them. Your species provided that courage." On the 40th day of the crisis, the Council's leadership called for a vote of confidence, something that hadn't happened in over 900 years. The outcome was clear. The existing leadership lost by 2 votes. In its place, a temporary authority was created with representatives from all membership levels. For the first time in Council history, a non-founding species, Ambassador Lyria of the Alarans, was elected as first speaker. Captain Summers sat in his quarters later that evening, looking at a message from Earth. The communication was brief, but important. More human ships were coming to Harmonia Station, not just with diplomats but with families. The first wave of humans joining galactic society. "What have we done?" he asked Diane Russell, who sat across from him. "We told the truth," she said simply. "The rest happened because it needed to happen." Later that night, Elder Morris of the Archivists sat alone in the archive chamber, surrounded by records of countless civilizations. He studied the events of the past 6 months. "Fascinating," he said to himself. "Most species adapt to the Council. These humans made the Council adapt to them." He pulled up an old record, a prediction made by a long-dead archivist thousands of years ago. "Beware the species that questions not just the answers but the questions themselves. They will either bring great destruction or great renewal." Morris wondered which one humans would bring. Across the station, General Drox met with his allies from the other founding species who had threatened to leave the Council. "This is just the beginning," he growled. "Humans have infected the lesser species with dangerous ideas. Order is breaking down." "Perhaps order should break down," said a voice from the doorway. Lyria, the new first speaker, entered the room. "Perhaps the order we maintained was wrong. 4,000 years of peace," Drox hissed. "That's what your human friends have destroyed." "Peace for some," Lyria corrected. "Control for others. There's a difference." On the Meridian, which remained docked at the station, Engineer Cooper showed Captain Summers more of what he had found in the Council database. "It's not just technology they were controlling," Cooper explained, pointing to data on his screen. "It was information about other species, too. The founding members kept the rest of the Council divided by hiding how much they all had in common." "Divide and rule," Summers said. "One of the oldest political tricks in human history, too." "Exactly," Cooper nodded. "But humans broke that pattern without even trying. We naturally tried to find common ground with everyone we met. We didn't know we weren't supposed to do that." As Summers prepared for bed that night, he received one final message, this one from Ambassador Lyria. "Tomorrow we begin building a new council," she wrote. "The old order is gone. What comes next will be difficult, but it will be built on truth. Your species has given us that gift, whether you intended to or not. The council had been changed forever, and humanity had been the catalyst." 2 years after the human delegation first arrived at Harmonia Station, the Galactic Council looked very different. The big change that started with their arrival had turned into something few people expected: a rebirth. Lisa Morales, Earth's first official ambassador to the Reformed Council, stood at a big window looking out at the construction project extending from the east side of the station. Morales was in her 40s, with short black hair and a confident smile. Next to her stood Alan Summers, now an admiral, in charge of the Joint Security Forces protecting Council space. "The Technology Exchange Center will be finished ahead of schedule," Morales said, watching thousands of small construction robots swarming around the metal framework. 26 different species working together on one project. That would have been impossible under the old system. Summers nodded thoughtfully. His face had more wrinkles now, signs of the stressful 2 years. Not everyone is happy with how fast things are changing. The change had not been easy. The Krell Imperium and 2 other founding species had left the Council and formed their own group called the Sovereign Compact. Trade routes were disrupted, and diplomatic ties were broken. For 3 scary months, war seemed possible until the archivists helped create a peace agreement. But within the reformed Council space, amazing things were happening. With the end of the Ascension Management Directive, technologies that had been kept secret were now being shared across species. The energy efficiency of Harmonia Station had improved by 42% in just 18 months. Medical knowledge sharing had created breakthroughs that helped dozens of compatible species. On Earth, the changes were just as big. 5 Council species had set up embassies in major cities. Studying alien biology had become the most popular subject at universities. The first business partnerships between humans and aliens were starting, focusing on using Council technologies to help fix Earth's environment. Dr. Olivia Ward joined Summers and Morales at the window. She now led the Cultural Integration Commission and looked excited as always when talking about her work. "The Education Exchange Program has 3,000 applications for 50 spots," she reported. "Humans wanting to study on alien worlds, and aliens wanting to attend Earth universities. We never expected so much interest." "It's not just about technology," Morales observed. "There's something about how humans adapt that connects with many species. Elder Morris calls it collaborative innovation, our habit of taking different approaches and combining them into something new. What started as disruption had evolved into working together. Human problem solving, not limited by thousands of years of Council traditions, complemented the deep knowledge of established species. The Reformed Council was becoming better than the sum of its parts. Not all changes had been easy. Earth's government struggled with the sudden flood of advanced technologies. They created careful testing systems to prevent society from being disrupted too quickly. Some religious groups faced big questions about their beliefs. Others found their faith strengthened by the discovery of so many different forms of intelligent life. Diane Russell, now Director of Interspecies Communications, had created a 12-step program being used across human territories and Council space to help bridge cultural gaps. 3 more ships arrived from Earth yesterday, Summers told his colleagues. 800 settlers for the joint colony on Proxima Centauri b. The first Human Centauri Joint Development Project is officially underway. In the restructured Council chamber, now arranged in a spiral pattern that removed the old hierarchy, representatives from 92 species debated expanding membership rules. The reforms led by the Human Coalition had opened paths for species that were previously centuries away from being considered. Near Harmonia Station, the Meridian remained in service as a training ship. Alien officers worked alongside Earth's Space Service personnel, learning from each other's methods. Engineer Frank Cooper, whose discovery had triggered the Council's transformation, now led the technology integration team. The archivists, who had seen countless civilizations rise and fall, found themselves in an unusual position, unable to predict humanity's impact with any certainty. Elder Morris had taken the unprecedented step of asking human historians to join the archives, bringing their perspective to the galaxy's oldest knowledge repository. "We stand at a turning point," Ambassador Lyria, still serving as first speaker, addressed a joint session of Council representatives and Earth's diplomats. Her blue skin glowed as she spoke. "The old order is gone, but the new one is still taking shape. What we know for sure is that humanity joining our galactic community has triggered changes many of us thought impossible." She gestured to Ambassador Morales. "Our human friends did not set out to change our institutions. They simply asked questions we had stopped asking centuries ago. They challenged ideas we had forgotten were choices rather than facts. In doing so, they reminded us what the Council was meant to be. Not a system for keeping power, but a place for everyone to advance together. As the meeting ended, Admiral Summers received a message that the first Joint Human Council science mission was ready to leave. A journey to explore regions of space previously considered too dangerous by Council standards, but well within the risk levels humans had worked with since their earliest days of exploration. "It seems we've found our place in the galaxy," Morales said as they watched the expedition ship leave from Harmonia's main dock. The sleek vessel bore the symbols of both Earth and the Reformed Council. "Not just a place," Summers replied. Purpose." Later that evening, Elder Morris met with a small group of human scientists in the archives. The ancient chamber held records going back millions of years. "Your species continues to surprise us," Morris told Dr. Kevin Brooks, who was now the head of the Joint Medical Research Program. "Most species join the Council and slowly adopt our ways. You joined and changed our ways instead." "We didn't mean to cause such disruption," Brooks said, pushing his glasses up. "We just wanted to be treated fairly." "That's exactly what makes humans different," Morris replied. "When other species faced unfairness, they accepted it as the natural order. When humans faced it, you asked why, and then demanded change." Across the station in the new Technology Exchange Center, Frank Cooper worked late into the night with a team of mixed species. They were adapting Earth's renewable energy systems to work with Centauri materials. "The amazing thing," Cooper told his alien colleagues, "is that both our technologies had limitations, but together they solve each other's problems." A young Vox engineer, part of the fungal hive mind species, communicated through a translator. "This is why the old Council feared humans. You don't just adapt to new environments, you make the environment adapt to you." In her quarters, Ambassador Morales recorded a message to send back to Earth. "2 years ago, we came to join a galactic community. Instead, we ended up helping to remake it. The journey has just begun." What started with disruption had evolved into transformation. The humans had entered the Council and everything had indeed fallen apart. But from those pieces, something new and potentially stronger was being built, step by step, day by day. The Council had been forever changed, and so had humanity. Neither would ever be the same again, and despite the challenges that remained, most agreed that this was in the end for the better.